The tale begins with a group of male students walking on the street after school when two blonde guys stop them. Students point out how the stranger has intentionally stopped them on the road, but the accusation doesn't faze the blonde boys, as they smugly ask if it is a surprise to see guys like that at Chidori High. They explain that a friend had a run-in with the group, so they're here to handle it for him. The students don't reply to them and just say how their friend Renaro is late today. Just when the blonde guys start to question this Renaro person, a tall, scary-looking guy comes there and asks if there is an issue, and if that is the case, they should say sorry. His aura is enough to scare away the blonde guys, and before he can even complete his sentence, the blonde boys run away from there. One of Rentaro's friends is happy that he chased those guys away, but the other is angry at him for randomly fighting with everyone. Seeing his clueless face, his friend explains that those guys were here because of something he did, and then asks what happened with their friend. His anger does not faze Renaro, who casually replies that he heard a couple fighting last night and went to check when the girl slapped her boyfriend, but instead of welcoming his help, the guy ran away from there. His friends are surprised at the guy running away abruptly, but they also understand his reaction because no one wants to interact with this scary-looking Renaro. Without arguing, he simply agrees with them, and their conversation stops when they spot two girls from Chidori High walking toward them. The girls rush past them without even sparing a glance toward their sides. One of Rentaro's friends stops them, wanting to return the handkerchief a girl dropped, but the girl just rudely tells him to get rid of it, saying she will never use it again now. As the girls walk inside the school, the boys discuss how much they hate them, but the one who got insulted is positive that they couldn't handle his charming personality. Renaro falls a few steps behind his friend as he gazes at the school building opposite them, thinking about how the noble girls would never want to interact with idiots like them. Chidori High School, an all-girls private academy, is a respectable historic institution that is completely disconnected from the Chidori Public, a lower-ranked school for all boys, and is mostly filled with a bunch of idiots. Students from Chidori High have a strong dislike for Chidori, and even though these schools are opposite to each other, Renaro has never seen even a glimpse of their classrooms. Chidori students only interact with Chidori boys in dire situations, but it doesn't matter because they will never cross paths after graduation. Renaro comes out of his imaginary comparison between the two schools when one of his friends calls him and asks if he will join them after school for karaoke. Renaro refuses to go with them and denies any allegation of having a girlfriend when his friends ask if this is the reason he is ditching them. As soon as he comes back from school, Renaro gets scolded for being late, to which he argues that it is not his fault that the distance from his school is long and there was rain on his way back. He then asks why they asked him for help since he is not a very nice person. The girl working in the kitchen replies that they don't need many people because there is one customer here right now and they are short-staffed, so that is why they called him, the only available person to help them. Renaro doesn't argue further and he realizes how he is wearing this uniform after a long time. He is currently at the bakery his family owns, and sometimes they ask for his help, but he never revealed this to his friends. Just then, he recalls how the worker said they had one customer and looked out to find a young girl sitting there, stuffing her mouth with food. He keeps staring at her unintentionally, and when the girl spots him, she chokes on her food. Stunned, he quickly apologizes to her, asking if he is okay, and rushes to give her water. Once the girl's coughing fit calms down a little, she tries to apologize to him, but he dismisses her, saying she did nothing. The girl nervously looks at the table, while Renaro just stares at her, surprised at how much she can eat while being as small as a middle schooler. Stuttering a little, the girl thanks him for the food and then runs out of the cafe without saying any other word. He can't believe that he caused the girl to run away and goes back to the kitchen, where the lady tells him that the customer was Wageri-san. She explains that Wageri comes a few times a month and suggests that Renaro should get introduced to her, but then guesses that something happened. A little embarrassed, he tells her how Wageri ran away by just looking at him and then apologizes for possibly making them lose a customer. She scolds him for blaming himself for no reason and with a menacing glare reminds him that just one cake is all it takes to win Wageri back as a customer. Despite her comforting words, Renaro feels guilty even the next day in school and is thinking about finding the middle school around so he can apologize. His friends again drag him out of his thoughts, asking if he is not happy to see them, but Renaro assures them it is not the case, and then he leaves, saying that he will get lunch alone today. Renaro walks out of the class alone, worried that he might have given Wageri a traumatic experience. A few days later, he is reading a book sitting in his bed when the door to his room bursts open as his mother rushes inside, announcing that Wageri is back and wants to chat with him. Rintaro is shocked to hear that, and even after seeing Wageri in front of his eyes, he finds it hard to believe that she actually came back. He tries to discuss the incident from their last meeting, but Wageri interrupts him quickly and instead asks to treat him to something. Rintaro is still shocked as they both sit at a table, finding it weird how Wageri is treating him to their own store's cake. Wageri apologizes to him for leaving the cafe abruptly the other day and says that this cake is her apology. Rintaro argues that he should be the one apologizing and pushes the cake toward her instead. Wageri tries to protest at first, but when Rintaro expresses how delicious the cake is, she can't resist further. As soon as he sees her devouring cake, Rintaro's mind jumps to the conclusion that she must be a big fan of eating. He's surprised when she remarks about how odd it must be to witness someone surrounded by an array of plates all to themselves. With his inability to lie, he is unable to hide his curiosity, and Wageri laughs at his reaction, explaining how she wanted to go home quickly that day. She then formally introduces herself, and after finding his name, she comments on how she now knows his name. Her statement confuses Rintaro, so Wageri quickly explains that she saw him working here before, but he never noticed her. Hearing that she has seen him before, Rintaro is confused about why she ran away by just taking a look at him. Wageri instantly clarified that she ran away because she was flustered to see him staring at her like that. Her words are a total shock to Rintaro because people only feel scared when he looks at them. They both become shy about the conversation, and Rintaro quickly changes the topic by offering to walk Wageri to the station because it is already dark. She asks to buy another cake before leaving and then doesn't accept Rintaro's offer to walk her, saying that she will be fine alone. Before leaving, Wageri repeats that he didn't make her leave that day, and she never felt afraid of him. After she leaves, Rintaro runs back into his room, flustered at her words because, since childhood, he has been told how scary he looks. His moment of comfort is interrupted by the continuous knocking on his door. He shouts at them to know what the issue is, and his mother tells him that she found Wageri's cake lying on the ground outside the shop. He instantly gets worried when she asks if Wageri has safely returned to her home. Meanwhile, Wageri is standing in an alley, cornered by the two blonde guys who are harassing her. Rintaro is running around, desperately trying to search for Wageri, and stops when he hears voices coming from the alley, where the two boys are asking Wageri why she was with Rintaro. He recognizes the two guys from the other day, but doesn't interrupt the conversation. One of the boys mentions to Wageri how Rintaro is a very creepy guy, famous for his scary personality even in middle school, and now goes to a school with a bunch of idiots. Rintaro agrees with the boy, saying that his school is bad, but he can't understand if they just came here to talk about how creepy he is. He is thinking about how the guys are right about him being scary, but he is surprised when Wageri states that they can't believe some random rumors. She continues that they should talk to him, and they will find out how amazing he is. The guys tell her to stop talking about him like that, but she doesn't back down, instead saying how annoying they are. One of the guys replied that she shouldn't talk like that, confessing how they wanted to infuriate Rintaro by using her. They try to force her, but he chooses this moment to interfere and accidentally bumps his head into the wall while pushing them away from her. With blood dripping from his forehead, he looks back at the boys, asking if they fulfilled their wish to infuriate him, and seeing his expression, they run away from there. Wageri starts panicking at the sight of his blood and tries to wipe it with her handkerchief while apologizing to him for causing this. Rintaro assures that it is fine because he accidentally bumped his head into the wall and apologizes for not stopping the guys early. Wageri is shocked to hear that he intentionally did this, but he is not fazed and just apologizes for dragging her into this mess. Wageri tells him not to bow like that, but Rintaro is lost in thoughts about how she defended him in front of those thugs, and he terrified her even though she was so sweet. When he tries to apologize again, Wageri ignores his statement and instead finds it strange that people get terrified when he is so kind. She gently taps the handkerchief on his wound and, with a bright smile, thanks him for saving her. Her gratefulness is a surprise to Rintaro, who is used to people's harsh behavior toward him, but her kind behavior makes him want to experience it again. Thanking him for his help again, Wageri asks if he is really fine, to which Rintaro replies that it is just a scratch that will be healed in a few days. Before leaving, she suggests eating cake together when she visits the store again, and she assures him that she will get home safely this time. Rintaro arrives at the school early the next day and is feeling very tired because of a sleepless night. His thoughts are still wandering toward Wageri, and when they will get the chance to meet again. His attention is diverted toward the curtains of Keikyo that are closed as usual, but he is shocked when he finds the curtains moving for the first time. Rintaro calms down, thinking that it will never happen, but the next moment, the curtains are yanked open, and he is once again stunned to see Wageri-san standing there. Without wasting any time, he closes the curtains of his own window while he tries to overcome the shock of Wageri being a high schooler and attending their rival school. Rintaro's thoughts about his messed-up situation break when his friend groans beside him, complaining about students from Keikyo High looking down at them. His friend Shoei continues that he is tired of the situation because they didn't choose this school on purpose. He is not happy when his other friends remind him that this is the only school he got accepted to. He glances sideways and sees their friends, Saku and Ayato, approaching, Saku being the one to remind them of the harsh reality. Ayato and Shoei continue the discussion about Keikyo's students' behavior and how they even hate Saku, who is usually popular with girls. Saku says that it is not a big deal, but Shoei couldn't get over the situation. Their conversation turns toward Rintaro's injured forehead, and this sends him into a spiral of memories about how scared Wageri was that day. He had instinctively wrapped himself around Wageri, but now he is worried that she will also find him creepy. Just then, his friends noticed the closed curtains and asked if he did this because he also couldn't stand looking at Keikyo. Slamming his hands on the table, Rintaro stands up, shouting that he didn't close the curtains because of that. His friends are surprised to see his reaction, so Rintaro quickly clarifies that he just closed the curtains because of excessive light. When his friend argues that it never happened before, Rintaro replies that he just wanted to close them sometime. When his friends go back to their seats, Rintaro again stares at the windows of Keikyo High, thinking about how Wageri was always so close to him, but she will probably never return to the store because of the hatred Keikyo has for their school. He settles on the thought that it is for the best because nothing good will come out if she is associated with a Chidori student. Just then, Shoei turns around at his desk, asking if he wants to go out with them after school, and Rintaro agrees with the offer after checking that he has no message from his mother. As they are walking out of the school, Rintaro says how he will sing today because he didn't join them the last time. Their conversation is interrupted when Saku points out the huge crowd gathered outside the gate. Parting the crowd, they quickly check what the issue is, and Rintaro is shocked to see Wageri waiting outside the door. All of the students are trying to understand why a Keikyo student is here. Before Rintaro can recover from his shock, Shoei harshly asks Wageri what she wants from the Chidori boys. She hesitantly replies that she wants to meet someone. Shoei tries to question her again, but Rintaro intervenes in time and pushes him away from there. Rintaro offers a meek apology to Wageri-san, but their heart-to-heart is cut short thanks to Shoei's constant whining about not having a girlfriend. Two girls from Keikyo High suddenly appear, scolding Karuko for hanging around the boys' school, unless she wants to catch a case of their dumb antics. The guys are taken aback by more girls joining the fray, but they're not about to be disrespected. Shoei takes the lead once more, demanding an apology like it's nobody's business. Wageri and Rintaro couldn't do anything except look at each other as the girls dragged her away, not even bothering to reply to Shoei. The boys continue to discuss how rude Keikyo girls are and what the girl possibly wants from a Chidori boy. Rintaro just walks beside them silently, thinking how this was a close call and how his method of acting like he didn't know her worked. But it is hard to believe that she wanted to see him. His friends stop their guessing when Shoei notices Rintaro standing there with a weird look on his face. They are surprised at seeing a new expression on his face, while Rintaro is trying to suppress a small smile, feeling unusually happy. He quickly shakes his head to get rid of happy thoughts, realizing how he is scaring people again and that it is best if he doesn't bump into Wageri-san again. Later, he is sitting in karaoke with his friends, who remind him that he needs to choose a song. Rintaro picks up the tablet, but his mind is still focused on what happened after school. He is shocked when Saku suddenly asks if something has happened in his life lately. Once he mentions that, his friends also realize how he has been behaving strangely lately, but Saku ignores them and tells Rintaro that they are here for him if he's having any issues. Shoei complains about how he didn't even share how he got injured. Hearing his friends' concern about him, Rintaro is thinking about telling them about Wageri-san, but he doesn't know what their reaction will be. He can already imagine the things they will say about Keikyo High, so he decides not to tell them anything. Shoei and Ayato easily believe him, encouraging him to share if there is an issue, but Saku is still suspicious of him. They soon get busy singing, and Rintaro takes this opportunity to apologize to Saku for always making him worry. Saku just sighs, saying how Rintaro is always like this, and then holds the mic so he can sing his worries away. When Rintaro returns home that day, he is surprised to see the lights still on in the store when it is already past 7. He enters the store, pointing out how the door is unlocked, but stops in his tracks when Wageri-san excitedly greets him. His shock to see her there increases when she suddenly bows in front of him and apologizes for causing the scene at school earlier that day. Rintaro quickly dismisses her apology, saying that he wasn't mad about it. Before their conversation can continue, his mother comes out and starts yelling at Rintaro for coming back late because Wageri was waiting for him. She then turns to Wageri and asks if she wants to eat the leftover cake. Wageri attempts to decline, but her stomach lets out a thunderous growl, causing the others to erupt in laughter. Wageri blushes in humiliation, and once Rintaro finally composes himself, he proposes that they eat together. She happily agrees with him, and soon they are sitting around the table, eating their food. Rintaro's gaze never leaves her face as he notices how happy she looks while eating her food. Wageri starts the conversation as she asks Rintaro about his friend. Rintaro replies that his friend is alright and asks her why she came to their school. He is shocked when she admits that she wanted to see him and tries to apologize again. But he quickly dismisses the apology. In his excitement, he accidentally blurts out how happy he was to see her and quickly apologizes for saying that because he must look like a creep. When he tells Wageri to forget what he said, she replies that she wants to remember it, and they both flush red. Rintaro quickly changes the topic, asking her about the cake instead, but they can't avoid the conversation, and he accidentally spills how he thought she would never come back. At Wageri's question, he explains how it is because of their school's stark differences, and since she attends Keikyo High, he muses that she would never want to see him again because being with him would do her no good. Wageri honestly tells him that she was excited to find out that he attends Chidori High and abruptly stands up to leave the store. She turns around at the door, saying that everything she said is true, and she thought this would be her chance to get to know him better. Wageri leaves after that, but Rintaro can't forget her sad face, realizing how he hurt her. His guilt increases when he notices that she hasn't finished her cake, even though she loves it. Suddenly, his mother comes out of the kitchen to ask him about Wageri, but he stumbles back, seeing his stoic face. She mumbles how a skeleton can't be her son, and then asks him to go downstairs. Once they are in the house, Rintaro tells his mother what happened, and in reply, she hits him on the forehead. While he is rolling on the ground in pain, his mother advises him to follow Wageri so she can be home safely. Rintaro ignores her order and mumbles how he can't understand why Wageri was pleased to meet him. His mother is fed up with his cluelessness, as he endlessly wonders why Wageri would want to meet him when she's from Keikyo. His mom smugly reminds him that he's just like everyone else who judges him based on his appearance. He used to hate being felt that way, but now all he can talk about is Keikyo High. His mother questions whether Wageri's attitude changed once she found out about his school, and whether he saw her in a new light. Her words bring back memories of his own past judgments, making him realize he's been treating Wageri the same way he used to be treated. In a moment of self-realization, he gives himself a well-deserved punch, shocking his mother, who rushes to wipe his blood. The next morning, he stands outside the Keikyo High to wait for Wageri, who shows up soon after him. She is worried to see his wounded face, but he ignores her comments and instead says that he came early, hoping that he will get to meet her. Rintaro then suddenly apologizes for hurting her yesterday. Wageri is slightly confused to hear that, so he explains how she looked very sad while leaving the store. Listening to him, she suddenly slumps down on the ground, not being able to show her face due to embarrassment, and says that he has nothing to do with her sad face. She realizes how her leaving the store abruptly made things worse and apologizes for making him feel guilty again. Rintaro kneels in front of her, saying that she doesn't have to apologize, but Wageri doesn't raise her face and comments on how gentle he is. Rintaro realizes he's just mirroring her behavior, but instead of admitting it, he says the boys at his school always badmouth Keikyo, so he naturally does too. He never tried to think rationally about the matter, but he couldn't bear the thought of someone being rude to her. Even though he dislikes it, he knows that if she is associated with him, she will face more problems. He proceeds to frantically declare that he has no intention of letting her slip from his memory. Blaming his school-related stress for his outburst, He confesses that deep down he was overjoyed to see her. They both stay silent for a moment after his confession, and then Wageri stands up, looking better and happier than before. She continues that they are just two different people, so it doesn't matter what school they attend. She just wants to know him better. After his early morning meeting with Wageri, Rintaro goes to his classroom and is relieved to see that no other student is here yet. Earlier he had also apologized to Wageri-san for closing the curtains so suddenly, but she assured him that it was not a big deal. Recalling that, he decides to open the curtain because no one will be at school this early. Wageri seems to have the same thought, and as they wave at each other through windows, Rintaro admits that he also wants to get to know her. He never thought he could be part of the world that he could see from his window, but now it doesn't seem like such a far-fetched idea. Later, he is sitting in the class, using a notebook to fan himself as Shoei complains about the hot weather. He asks Rintaro to turn on the AC in the staff room, but he refuses to move from his spot. Groaning, Shoei says that they should do something fun, like a sports day, and perks up when he remembers that it happens every year in May. Shoei is already excited as he says they are going to have a blast, but their happiness crashes when the teacher informs them that they can't participate in that. Later, when Saku comes to their desk and asks them about the AC, Shohei tells him how they have to take the makeup exams for their midterms. He is surprised to hear that and says that the management might ignore it with time as they do everywhere, but Shoei mumbles that it is not the case this time. Rintaro is silently listening to their conversation and recalls their earlier encounter with the teacher. He told them that second years are very careless, so their principal asks everyone to do their best from now on and says that any students who fail will take makeup instead of participating in the sports day. Shikata-sensei sighs and says he was going to tell them anyway. They have the worst grades in the class. Shoei tries to protest against the decision but admits that they are not going to pass when the teacher asks about it. Shoei is persistent that they need some kind of favor, so Shikata agrees to treat them to ice cream if they win the championship on sports day. After knowing the full story, Saku and their other friends just stare at Shoei, who just now realizes the seriousness of the situation. He is aware that he can't study to save his life and almost begs Saku to help him, but he refuses, saying that he did that last year and his own grades dropped. Yurita asks Rintaro about his situation but refuses to help when Rintaro mentions that he also needs assistance. Shoei gets offended by the continued rejection from their friends and shouts that they don't need anyone's help. As they continue to bicker among themselves, Rintaro focuses on his phone, where he gets a text from his mother asking him to invite Wageri-san to the store because they are having a sale. He figures that today is the monthly sale day at the store and looks towards the closed curtains of Kaikyo, remembering how Wageri hadn't visited the store recently. His mother has told him that she visits the store a few times a month and admits that she doesn't need to be rich just because she goes to Chidori High. Rintaro writes a message to invite her to the store and ponders about it for a while before finally sending it. The whole day he keeps waiting for a reply, and only after school does he realize that phones might not be allowed at Kaikyo. He is startled when his phone suddenly rings, and he quickly looks to find a message from Wageri, who has said that she is busy and can't come to the store. Even though he knows that she might have some stuff to do, he is still disappointed by her answer. His thoughts are interrupted when Shoei slams his hands on his table, announcing that they are going to the library. As soon as they reach the library, Shoei complains about the broken AC, but he is determined to show their friends that they don't need any help. Rintaro tries to stop him from being so stubborn, but Shoei ignores him and goes to study. His determination didn't last long, as he couldn't understand anything written in the books. Rintaro asks if they should go back to Natsuzawa, saying that they both know that they can't do this. He reminds Shoei how Saku helped them last year too, in reply to which his friend says they still failed. When Shoei still doesn't raise his head from the desk, Rintaro says that they will still eat the ice cream with their friends on sports day because Saku is also very excited about that. Shoei is surprised to hear those words from his friend, but he agrees to apologize to Saku right now and declares that he will drag them to the library. Before leaving, he says that he is also very excited about sports day and that he can't do it without Rintaro by his side. Rintaro is sitting alone at the table when he notices some girls searching for a table and stands up to give them the place. They are a little scared to see him, but they are surprised at how he gave them a place and left before they could say thank you. Holding the books in his hand, Rintaro walks around searching for a bench and thinks about informing Shoei Usami that they need a new table. He stops in his tracks when he hears a familiar voice and carefully peeks around the book racks to find Wageri sitting there with a friend, both laughing at something in their notebook. Rintaro quickly ducks behind the racks when the girls turn around, thinking about how Wageri must be studying hard for her upcoming exams. Once the girls turn back toward their books, he slowly peeks again and is stunned to see Wageri doodling in her notebook. This new side of Wageri is surprising to him, and seeing how relaxed she is, he figures that this must be her real personality. Rintaro continues to eavesdrop on the girls and listens to Wageri's friend say that it must be difficult for her to always stay at the top of the class. Haruko replies that it is just a target she set for herself and is not a big deal, but her friend is still impressed by how hardworking she is. As Rintaro walks away, he reflects on Wageri's intelligence, even by Kikyo's standards, while seeing himself as just another fool from Chidori High. Frustrated after failing to solve the question again, he lies on a bench, recalling how Natsuzawa helped him last year, only for him to still fail. Passing now feels impossible. The thought of giving up crosses his mind, but Shoei's words linger. Before he can dwell on it, Wageri suddenly appears, asking if he's sleeping there. He jolts upright, stumbling over his words, insisting he just came to the library and hadn't seen her in a while. Ignoring his words, she mentions how she thought it was him in the back, so she came here to confirm and also felt hungry, so she decided to get something to eat. She sits on the bench beside him and asks if he is preparing for the exams. Rintaro replies that he is trying to study, but it looks like he will fail again because he couldn't solve any questions from the book. Wageri takes a look at his book and then suggests another method he can use to solve the question. Rintaro is stunned when he solves the question on his first try, but he knows this will not work in an actual exam. Wageri assures him that he will be fine if he practices a lot, and he will start to feel confident soon. She apologizes for turning down his offer to visit the store, explaining that she hopes to go during the next monthly sale. She had to refuse this time because she was preparing for a test, but more importantly, she'd been spending too much of her savings on food. Rintaro is surprised to learn she pays for it herself, and when she sees his reaction, she clarifies that it's money from her part-time job. Shocked, he struggles to believe that a popular girl like her even works. Wageri chuckles, explaining that while Kikyo High is a school for noble girls, she's there on a scholarship and has to maintain top grades to stay. Cheerfully, she adds that she's held the highest rank in her class because of it. Once again, Rintaro is taken aback. She admits that constant tests leave her sleep-deprived, but as a non-elite student in a prestigious school, she has to prove she's no less than anyone else. Despite her efforts, she still feels like an outsider. When Rintaro asks why she puts herself through this, she tells him she barely convinced her father to let her attend Kikyo High. She can't let him down. But beyond that, keeping the top rank is also a matter of pride. Hearing all this, Rintaro realizes he had made assumptions about Wageri, just like how others made assumptions about him, something he always hated. He convinces himself that he's turned over a new leaf and turns to Wageri for some much-needed study help, determined not to flunk this time around. He whispers his newfound dedication to her, pledging to be her study buddy whenever she's available. Just as he's about to bring up her busy schedule, she surprises him by offering up her own grub, promising to reach out when she's free. They dive back into exam chat, unaware of a girl on a mission to find Wageri, who's been MIA since her quick trip to the corner store. As soon as the girl is near them, she asks Haruko about the boy with whom she is talking. Rintaro is stunned to see her appearance because he has never seen someone with silver hair in real life and thinks she looks cool, but when she glares at him, he realizes how scary she is. The girl then addresses him, guessing correctly that he is from Chidori High, and once Rintaro confirms that, she adds that he doesn't need to meet with Haruko after today. Rintaro is intimidated by her sharp stare as the girl states that she doesn't want Wageri to be near anyone from Chidori High. Wageri tries to talk to her friend, Subaru, who is determined to protect her in any case. Wageri tries to explain the situation, but just then Rintaro's friends make an appearance, talking about how he couldn't keep a table for them. They are surprised to notice the girls from Kikyo, while Subaru is also not happy to see more boys from Chidori High. Rintaro buries his face in his hands as his friends ask the girls why they are talking to Renaro because he will never associate with students of Kikyo. Subaru ignores them and says to Wageri that they should leave instead of talking to these idiots. Shoei is ready to fight for calling them fools, but he just then realizes how he saw the girl somewhere. As he leans closer to look better at her, Rintaro shoves him back while Subaru shouts at him to stay away. Realizing what he had done, Rintaro quickly apologizes for his actions while thinking about how his body moved on its own, and he can't understand his emotions at Shoei getting a little close to Wageri. Subaru repeats that she doesn't want Karuko to associate with them, and this causes another argument, with Shoei saying that they act almighty and great but didn't answer his question yet. Subaru angrily asks if they are calling Wageri stupid, to which Saka replies, "What will happen if this is what he is doing?" He then attacks her silver hair, saying that this is something that will happen at Keikyo and that she shouldn't be so proud because she might get harmed by it. His words shock everyone around him, and Rintaro finally breaks his silence, first scolding his friend for saying such a thing, and then reminding him who Wageri is, the girl who was outside their school the other day. Shoei finally recognizes her as Rintaro explains that he approached the girls because he wanted to apologize for scaring her the other day, and they weren't the ones who came here first. When his friend points out that he was the one who scared her, Shoei quickly apologizes and says that he got a little angry but didn't mean to say those things. He continues to say that he has no right to act like that just because they go to Keikyo High and try to apologize again. But to his surprise, Wageri suddenly bows in front of him, saying that she is the one who should be sorry. The boys are shocked at seeing someone from Keikyo High bowing in front of them, as Wageri apologizes for creating a mess and disturbing everyone at Chidori High. Subaru tries to stop her, but Wageri instead asks her to apologize too. They all wait in anticipation of Subaru's reaction, but she just leaves from there, and Wageri instantly follows her friend. When the boys are left alone, Yurita comments that he doesn't know what to think of Keikyo anymore, and Usami seconds his opinion, talking about how quickly the girls changed their attitude. He changes the topic, saying that there is one person who still needs to apologize. Saku instantly turns his head, knowing that they are talking about him, but when they tease him for standing up for them, he shouts that they were being insulted. Laughing a little, Yurita informs Rintaro that they have already solved their issues, and they all go back to discuss studying. Rintaro slowly follows his friends, his mind still trying to figure out why Subaru looked at him before leaving. On the other side of the library, Wageri acknowledges Subaru's dislike for boys, but finds her behavior extreme. Subaru snaps that all boys are the same and questions why Karuko even interacts with them. She brings up the gate incident, assuring Wageri she has nothing to apologize for. Before Wageri can respond, Subaru continues ranting about how boys, especially those from Chidori High, are heartless. Remembering Saku's harsh words, she changes the subject and asks about Rintaro. Wageri simply replies that he's kind and his friends aren't so bad. Instead of arguing, Subaru shifts the topic to the sweets Wageri is holding, and they resume studying. Meanwhile, Rintaro struggles with a problem, frustrated that he keeps getting it wrong despite Saku's explanations. As he scans the page, he stumbles upon the question Wageri taught him, which makes him wonder if they should still study together after the chaos of their last meeting. Just then, Wageri messages him, asking if they can talk. Confused but curious, he agrees. When he picks up, she greets him cheerfully, but he immediately senses something off in her voice. When he asks what's wrong, Wageri explains that she called to apologize for her friend's behavior at the library, insisting that her friend is actually a good person. Rintaro assures her he wasn't judging while recalling Subaru's intensity, but chooses not to mention it, instead apologizing for his friends. Wageri admits she'd be upset too if someone insulted her, then reveals the real reason for her call. She feels guilty that he had to lie because of her. She chuckles when Rintaro says that he has already forgotten that, and says how nice he is. She continues that he is very brave for protecting her like that, and she thanks him for that. Her words come as a surprise to him because no one has ever called him brave. Rintaro realizes how things have been strange recently because he can't stop thinking about Wageri and feels strangely happy about it. He comes out of his thoughts when Wageri almost yells from the other side of the phone. She is relieved to know that he didn't give up and recalls how they talked about studying together. Rintaro gets attentive to hear that as Wageri adds that they have been very friendly with each other recently, and she will try to tone it down. Rintaro is confused about why she wants to be careful and asks her about it. Wageri is a little startled by his tone and quickly explains that she is just a customer at his store and apologizes for saying it like that. She is relieved when Rintaro says that he just wanted to know and asks him if he is free on Saturday. Rintaro is not happy to know that he is just an ordinary guy for Wageri, whom she talks to at the store, and even though he didn't pay much attention to how friendly they are, he suddenly feels very distant. He had thought that they had become good friends, but he doesn't mention any of his concerns and just agrees to meet on Saturday. They agreed to meet at Asagi Station, and Rintaro is curious about how Wageri is feeling about this call. When Wageri goes to cut the call, he can't control himself anymore and tells her not to worry about it because he doesn't want to change anything between them. Wageri is still concerned about it, but when Rintaro assures her that he has no issue, she agrees to not worry about it and then cuts the call. After the call, Rintaro lies in bed, frustrated for speaking without thinking yet curious about Wageri's true feelings. Embarrassed at first, he slowly calms down, realizing he'd like to see her real self. Meanwhile, Wageri is flustered, unsure if he meant his words or was just being kind. She doesn't know if he noticed her smiling the whole time, but she's already excited for Saturday. On Saturday, Rintaro woke up early in the morning. It has been a while since they agreed to study together, and the day has finally arrived when he will meet with Wageri. As usual, he gets weird comments while traveling by bus, but his mind is only focused on Wageri and how they are meeting on the weekend. He is concerned about his clothes, hoping that they don't look weird because this is one of the few things he has to wear. The view he has seen every day is looking more pleasant today, and once he finally reaches his destination, he is worried that he came too early. To his shock, Wageri is already waiting for him, looking very different by the way she is dressed up. Once he overcomes his surprise, he rushes toward her, apologizing for being late, but Wageri says that it is not his fault because she came too early. Chuckling slightly, Wageri says that she is a little slow at taking things normal, and then admits that she is also very nervous today. Seeing his flushed face, Wageri says that he is also very nervous, but he doesn't comment on that and just asks where they should go to study. Wageri replies that she knows a place and then takes them to a nearby cafe. She is already enjoying her food, as she explains that they can easily study here, and the food is also very delicious. When he doesn't say anything in reply, Wageri points out that his goodwill gets cold. He finally focuses on his food, just now remembering that Wageri is a food lover and that she looks like she is lost in her own world. Once they are done eating, Wageri instantly gets into teacher mode and asks him to get ready for work. She first asks him if he needs to focus on math, to which Rintaro hesitantly replies that he thinks he will do well on other subjects. She is amused by his answer, and she encourages him to approach her if he needs help. Focused on his book, Rintaro points out the question he needs to understand. Wageri leans closer to take a look, and once their eyes meet, they are both startled at their closeness and instantly jerk back. Wageri quickly apologizes to him, to which Rintaro replies that it is no big deal. They then focus on the question, but their hearts are still going crazy over the incident. After studying for a while, she asks him why he said he really wanted to pass this year. Rintaro tells her how he can't participate in sports day if he fails midterms and will have to take extra classes, but he doesn't want to be separated from his friends. He is feeling embarrassed about his reason, but Wageri assures him that it is great that he wants to enjoy the sports day with his friends. Rintaro is thinking about how sweet she is and suddenly chokes on his drink when Wageri comments that he really loves his friends. Wageri offers him a handkerchief in reply, and Rintaro thanks her while expressing his shock at the word love, but admits that it is kind of true. She replies that she also loves her friends because they are very kind, especially Subaru, whom she has known since her childhood. She explains how people misunderstand Subaru's kindness, but she just had a lot of bad experiences with boys and has trouble trusting them now. She adds how he didn't treat her friend differently, which is really great, and she thanks him for that. Rintaro is surprised by her words, and while Wageri goes back to studying, he is stunned at the happiness he is feeling again. As they stroll back from their marathon study sesh, Rintaro can't help but moan about the eternity they spent glued to their seats. Wageri replies that resting is also important for studying and gives him a notebook. Seeing his confused expressions, she says that he mentioned he has a hard time with other subjects, so she made a notebook of tips and tricks to help him in his tests. Rintaro is very embarrassed at her efforts because she also has to study, but Wageri assures him that it is not an issue and they will do this together. She adds that she wants him to enjoy the sports day with his friends and wants to hear all the stories after that. Realizing that she might miss her train, she leaves after wishing him luck for his midterms. Rintaro is happy at how much she helped him and is planning to study on his way back, but suddenly someone yanks him back by his collar. He looks back to find Subaru standing there, and she sharply asks if he has time because she wants to discuss something right now. Sitting in the cafe across from Subaru, Rintaro is still trying to understand what is happening. He has followed Subaru as per her wish, But ever since they came, she hasn't spoken a word, which is making him more nervous. Subaru finally decides to break her silence and asks if he is dating Karuko. At her sudden question, Rintaro accidentally spills the hot coffee on his hands, attracting the attention of the nearby waitress. He is surprised when Subaru offers him a handkerchief because he thought she hated him, but she is acting strange. Subaru takes the lead once more, inquiring about his name before graciously presenting herself as Karuko's classmate. After learning her full name, Rintaro recalls how the girls were talking about her the other day, and he is happy that she was absent that day, or else he would have been dead. He is startled when Subaru repeats her question about him dating Wageri, and he explains that he is not dating her. She further asks him what his relationship with Wageri is, and even after thinking about it, he can't come up with a proper answer. When he doesn't say anything in reply, Subaru asks if he knows Wageri for a short time because this will make things easier. Rintaro is still confused about all this and is shocked when Subaru suddenly says that he shouldn't meet with Wageri anymore. Rintaro asks if she is saying this because he attends Chidori High, and when Subaru confirms that, he continues that the rivalry between schools doesn't affect his interaction with Wageri. Subaru almost shouts that she is aware of that, and seeing her solemn expression makes Rintaro realize that she might be a nice person. Subaru continues to say that she said very bad things about his friend that day at the library, and is very sorry for that. She explains that she has an issue with Chidori High and boys in general, and when she saw Wageri, she freaked out. When Rintaro asks why she felt that way, Subaru explains that if someone from Keikyo saw Wageri with him, they would make Wageri's life a living hell. According to her, the teachers of Keikyo High despise the Chider more, and if they knew that a scholarship student was meeting with him, she was not sure what they would do to Wageri. Rintaro is shocked to hear the ridiculous statement, but he knows everything is possible when it comes to Keikyo. He then asks Subaru why she cares so much about Wageri, but before she can reply, a child falls to the ground right beside their table. Subaru rushes to help him and gives him the figurine toy that has fallen to the ground. The young kid is amazed by her hair and says how cool she looks. Just then his mother comes there and takes him away, while Subaru turns toward Rintaro, telling him how Wageri passed the same comments when they first met. Subaru tells him how in her childhood, kids used to make fun of her hair, and she could only cry in return. Rintaro finally understands her hatred for the boys as Subaru continues that Wageri was the person who saved her, and she always found her so beautiful. The day Wageri stood up for her, she was shining like a sun, and she will always remember that day. With tear-filled eyes, Subaru says that Wageri was her hero and they have never been apart since that day. Rintaro replies that Wageri has told him about that, but his statement just triggers Subaru, who shouts that he doesn't know anything about Wageri. Subaru continues that she was the one who worked hard for Wageri and how many difficulties she had to overcome to study at Keikyo. This is the reason she can't let Wageri's sacrifices go to waste right in front of her eyes. Wageri has done so much for her, and this might drive her away from Subaru, but she is ready to face any consequence to save Wageri's happiness. She again requested that Rintaro not meet with Wageri again. Her words remind him of all the times he has to face the harsh words of other people and how she said that he knows nothing about Wageri. As he recalls Wageri's kind words about wanting to know her better, he politely refuses to stay away from Karuko. Subaru doesn't argue further because she has already expected him to say this and just apologizes to him. Rintaro is sitting in the train on his way back home while his mind is still swirling around what Hoshina-san said about Wageri facing difficulties if someone finds out that she meets with him. He groans in frustration at not being able to focus on his books, scaring the girls sitting beside him. In his meeting with Subaru, he has learned a lot about her and thinks that she is a nice person, just like Wageri said, but it still surprises him that she cares so much about someone. He doesn't remember anyone doing anything like this for him. He comes out of his thoughts when two young girls approach him and ask if the seat is free. Thinking that they want the seats, he gets up from there and is about to move away when the girls hesitantly thank him. One of the girls says how he emptied the table for them at the library and asks if he remembers that. Rintaro asks why they are talking about that, to which the girls thank him, saying that they couldn't do that earlier. They are almost shivering because of the fear and are surprised when Rintaro politely asks if they have made any improvements. The girls quickly reply that he is right and then ask if he wants them to do anything. Rintaro just smiles a little, saying that he is happy to hear about their progress and then leaves from there. As he leaves, the girls discuss how he is very sweet, even though he is very intimidating. Rintaro stands near the doors of the train, surprised at his own reaction because it is rare that someone thanks him, but he still thought the girls were sweet, even though he was scaring them. For a moment, he thinks about the hot weather, but his mind again diverts toward Wageri and how she always thanks him. He can clearly imagine her rescuing Hoshina-san from the bullies and is a little worried about Wageri facing the consequences of meeting him. He doesn't regret his decision to stay away from Wageri, but it still worries him. A few days later, Rintaro is sitting in the class with his friends as their teacher prepares to return their midterm grades. The teacher calls both Shoei and Rintaro to the front and happily announces to the class that they have actually passed their midterm exams. The whole class starts cheering for them, gossiping about how it is hard to believe that Rintaro got more than 50 marks and how Shoei only passed with 1 mark. Without wasting more time, the boy starts to interview them on this special occasion. Shoei says he even lost his vision after he kept staring at the answer sheet. They then turn toward Rintaro, who simply says that he is very happy, making everyone emotional with his answer. Shoei shakes his shoulder violently, saying how hard they worked. Their classmates who couldn't pass the exams ask them to enjoy the sports day on their behalf. Everyone is shocked when even Natsuzawa gets teary-eyed, and even though he asks them not to embarrass him, Rintaro and Shoei still thank him for making this happen. At his weird reaction, Yurita comments that he is bad at showing emotions. As they start to bicker among themselves, Rintaro stares at his answer sheet, thinking about how he never felt this happy before. And it is all because of Wageri-san. He takes out his phone, wanting to share the news with her, but just then he recalls Hoshina's words. Before he can decide on what he should do, Natsuzawa accidentally knocks over his desk. When he apologizes, Rintaro assures his friend that it is fine and asks if he is hurt. Saku doesn't reply to him as he stares at the good luck note in Rintaro's notebook and inquires about it. Rintaro stands there in shock as Natsuzawa demands more information about the note. Just then, their friends come running there and are surprised to see them both standing by each other. Yurita picks up the note and only manages to read Karuko's name when Rintaro snatches the note from his hand while shouting at him to not look at it. His friends are startled by his extreme reaction, and Saku reluctantly asks if she is the same girl they met in the library earlier. Rintaro is suddenly bombarded with questions from his friends, as Shoei mentions how Wageri is from Chidori High, and Yurita wants to know why she gave him the note. Looking grim as usual, Saku recalls how he said that he just bumped into her in a library and wanted to apologize for his behavior, but it doesn't look like the case anymore. Rintaro just listens to their investigation silently, as Saku comments that he already suspected that something was wrong because Rintaro was acting strange lately and even spoke in favor of Kaikyo. Slowly getting angry, Saku asks what he is hiding and then adds that it will be nothing like Rintaro always claims. To their surprise, he apologizes to them, admitting that he's unwilling to reveal his secret. Saku is about to argue with him, but just then their teacher comes there and starts to scold them for talking instead of cleaning because they don't have much time. Seeing their confused faces, the professor mentions that the floor got dirty because of the confetti they used for a celebration. The room is filled with the answer sheets they have thrown around, and they need to clean quickly because it is time for the next class. Shoei is the first one to speak and challenges Saku to see who can clean faster, but Saku refuses to accept the challenge. Rintaro apologizes to Yurita for being rude earlier, but his friends dismiss his apology, and they all go to clean the classroom. After arriving home, Rintaro sits on his bed and groans frustratingly, thinking about how he messed up everything. He doesn't understand why he said those things to his friends because it is against his personality, but he is still more worried about accidentally losing the note. He carefully opens his book and is relieved to see that the note is still there. His first instinct is to send a thank you message to her. A big smile grazes Wageri's lips when she receives his message about how he has passed his test because of her help. She instantly replies that he did amazing work and deserved to clear his test. She sends another message saying how he can participate in the sports day now and that he should enjoy his time. Rintaro stares at her messages while he recalls how Wageri said that she also wants to enjoy the sports day with everyone, but since it can't happen, he needs to share all the fun stories with her. He also reminisces about how Subaru said that if people from Kaikyo find out about Wageri's connection with the Chidori boy, it will not be good for her. The situation makes him more frustrated, while Wageri is just happy to see that he has read her text. She is excitedly thinking about what kind of sports the boys will play on the game day. The next day in school, Shoei is worried to see how his friends are sitting far away from each other. and it makes him confused about how they will solve this matter. He notes that they've been acting this way since yesterday, and Yorita agrees, glancing at their friends sitting in opposite corners of the room. Shoei, frustrated, remarks that Saku has already fought with Rintaro so soon after their last argument. He can't believe his luck when Yorita unexpectedly whispers in his ear that his time has come. At first he's confused, but when Yorita kindly reminds him of Rintaro's role in patching things up with Saku, he nervously agrees to take on the challenge. Dressing in his baseball gear, he cheerfully approaches his friends, saying that the sports day is after 3 days, and since the main sport is baseball this year, they should go to batting cages for some practice. Saku instantly refuses to join them, and Rintaro also excuses himself, saying that he has something important to do. Shoei gives up quickly, heartbroken by getting rejected like this since he just wanted to have some fun with his friends. Rintaro quickly leaves to go home after the class ends, and Saku walks back alone when he suddenly hears a noise from behind. He spots his friends behind him, but before he can escape, Shoei and Yorita tightly grab each of his arms. Shoei is happy that they have captured one of their friends, and Yorita announces that he needs to come with them. The unexpected interruption takes aback Saku, but his companions brush off his confusion and propose taking the conversation elsewhere. Despite his attempts to shrug off the need for a chat, Yorita's persistence quickly changes his mind. They set off together, with Saku begrudgingly confessing that he's actually pretty annoyed. Yorita asks if he despises Rintaro being friends with someone from Chidori High. Saku replies that he is angry because Rintaro doesn't trust any of them, even though they are his close friends. The unexpected reply leaves his friends shocked, earning a smack on the back. Shoei remarks how they thought he was heartless because he always bullies them. When Saku apologizes to them, Shoei suddenly realizes how he hit his friend when he is feeling sad. Ignoring his reactions, Saku continues to explain how someone like him survived in the school only because Rintaro has always helped him. This was the reason he thought that when Rintaro needed him for something, he would always be there to show his support. Everyone grows silent for a moment, and Shoei is the first to speak, as he says that Saku needs to keep in mind what kind of personality the friend has. Rintaro can't even hide his grumpiness when someone is thanking him, and he most probably has no idea that Saku feels like this. If they think about it, they are the only ones who know that Rintaro is actually a great guy. Yorita agrees with his statement, and then adds that even if Rintaro doesn't know about their feelings, earlier he said that he doesn't want to share his secret. Annoyed, Saku replies that he has also heard that, and Yorita adds that then he should know that Rintaro didn't deny that he was hiding something. It was the first time their friend actually showed his feelings, and he is happy that his friend has shared this little detail with them. Still, they can't know what this secret is until Rintaro shares it with them, and there is nothing for them to be worried about since he is sure Rintaro will open up to them one day. Noticing that Saku looks less angry now, they start dragging him away, planning to cheer him up by giving him food. Meanwhile, Rintaro is working in his bakery when his mother asks if something happened since he looks sad. He tries to deny that, but his mother quickly scolds him, saying that she knows him well and asking if he failed his test again. Rintaro replies that this time he didn't fail the test. His mother comments that he makes good jokes and is left completely shocked when Rintaro repeats that he is telling the truth. She gasps dramatically at his statement, asking how he managed to cheat. Annoyed by her, Rintaro says that he didn't cheat, and her investigation shows how much confidence she has in him. His mother asks how much he scored, to which Rintaro tells her that his highest score is 59. Before she can say something else, the door to the bakery opens and someone steps inside. Rintaro quickly ducks behind the showcase when he notices that the customer is Wageri-san. He doesn't understand why he is hiding from her, while Wageri apologizes for coming this late and asks if they have any leftover cake. Rintaro's mom jokingly scolds Wageri for not coming on her day off when the cake selection is limited. Wageri defends herself, saying food is tastier when you're starving and she deserved a treat after acing her exams. The mom catches on and starts praising Rintaro's hard work, but he signals for her to stop. Ignoring his silent plea, she proudly declares his success in his exams, pulling him up by his collar. Startled by his presence, Wageri asks how long he has been hiding, and before he can clarify himself, his mother says that he was here all this time. She then turns toward her son, pointing that he couldn't hide for a long time since their showcase is transparent. Wageri mumbles that she actually didn't see him, while the lady tells Rintaro to note Wageri's order. He tries to protest, but his mother says that she has to work in the kitchen and then tells Wageri to take as much time as she needs. After harshly smacking Rintaro on his back, she disappears into the kitchen while he just stands there thinking about what his mother is planning to do. He comes out of his thoughts when Wageri tells him that she is ready to place her order. Stuttering a little, Rintaro asks what she wants, and Wageri is about to tell him, but she changes her mind and instead raises her hands, asking him for something. When Rintaro just stares at her, looking confused, Wageri explains that she is asking for a high five. Still confused, Rintaro asks why they have to do this, to which Wageri cheerfully replies that it is because he has passed his exams. He also got the chance to participate in the sports day, so they should high five for that. Rintaro finally gives in as he high fives her, and then after a while he serves her the cake. Wageri thanks him, saying that she was so eager to eat it. Rintaro tells her to be careful on her way back home, but she doesn't leave and instead mentions that eating is a great way to brighten up the mood. She asks if he heard the phrase about breakfast being the most important meal of the day because this is the reason she eats a lot in the morning. She admits that she eats a lot all day, but it is still true that food can cheer you up. Wageri starts to stumble on her words, saying that she wants him to eat a lot, and innocently admits that she forgot what she was going to say. Rintaro bursts into laughter at her confession. Wageri is confused at his reaction, and Rintaro quickly clarifies that it is nothing, but she is still wondering if her statement is funny. Barely controlling his laughter, Rintaro says that he just found it funny. Wageri is relieved to see him smiling like that and leaves with a promise to come back later for more cake. Rintaro is just standing there, lost in thoughts, when his mother comes out and asks if Wageri has already left. She is confused about Rintaro's reaction, wondering if something is wrong, and goes back inside when he gives no reaction. Taking off his cap, Rintaro is thinking about how he always felt that there was a cloud on his head, but now it has been cleared in a minute, which makes him realize how great Wageri-san is. When he talked with Subaru, he somehow agreed with what she had said, but he couldn't stop himself from saying that he couldn't stay away from Wageri. He thinks that Wageri is very kind, determined, and just so amazing, and he still feels that these words are not enough to describe her. He again stares at the last message he received from Wageri and throws his head down in defeat. In the meantime, Wageri sighs with relief, feeling very shy since she wasn't expecting to meet Rintaro so soon. She was secretly hoping for that to happen and recalls how this was the first time she saw her laughing like that. She finds him so adorable and is happy that he was smiling like that. She also stares at their conversation and realizes how he didn't ask Rintaro if something bad happened. Before she can text him again, her phone suddenly rings, indicating the arrival of a new message. Subaru is sitting alone on a bench in the park, thinking about how Karuko was the first person to call her pretty, and she will always remember how cheerful she was that day. She comes out of her thoughts when Karuko arrives, quickly apologizing for being late. Subaru replies that she isn't late and then asks if she went to some other place. Wageri agrees with her, and without giving Subaru the opportunity to question her further, she starts looking around excitedly, saying how she came here after a long time. Wageri recalls how they used to play in this park a lot since it is very close to their house. As Subaru murmurs that she remembers everything, Wageri asks what she wants to discuss since it is unlike her to do something like this. Subaru replied that they meet each other every day at school, so she thought it would be good if they talked here. She continues that it is not something she can discuss at school because she wants to talk about Sumuji-kun. Wageri is shocked to hear the name as Subaru tells her that she has talked with him earlier. In the flashback of their childhood, Hoshina is crying loudly while Karuko tries to calm her down. Her comforting words do not affect Subaru, who continues to sob and says how she got really scared when Wageri fell upside down from the monkey bar. She adds that even if everyone else is doing the same pose and the bars are strong enough to hold everyone's weight, she still needs to stop doing that. Wageri assures her that she will not do it again, feels thankful that Subaru always cares for her so much. Looking at the bright smile of Wageri, Subaru finally stops crying and keeps staring at her friend, who looked very beautiful with her small height and long black hair. She is also very bright and amazing, which is why Subaru always saw her as a hero, but sadly she couldn't be strong like her. Back in the present, Wageri is still in shock at the news that her friend has talked to Rintaro. Subaru explains to her that she accidentally saw her sitting with Rintaro in the cafe, and after they both went their own ways, she talked to Rintaro. She admits that she told Rintaro not to meet with her friend anymore. Subaru seems to grow more agitated with every passing minute as she sincerely apologizes to Karuko for betraying her like that. To her surprise, Wageri suddenly starts laughing and says how she got scared because of the random apology. Wageri tells her that the other day at the school gate, she figured out how much these two schools resent each other. Subaru is taken aback when Wageri sadly questions if she truly shattered her heart. Wageri then attributes her outburst towards Rintaro to Subaru's caring nature, apologizing for causing her unnecessary concern. This unexpected apology leaves Subaru feeling even more down about herself. Ever since she has conversed with Rintaro, she was worried that Wageri would find out about this, but even after knowing the truth, her behavior has remained the same toward her. She realizes how she was afraid of nothing happening, and Rintaro didn't say anything to Wageri. Subaru suddenly realizes that if Rintaro never told anything to Wageri, then nothing would change and her friend wouldn't despise her. She still couldn't stop herself from thinking about her words since she had always vowed to keep Wageri happy, even if she hated him. Soon the guilt of hiding the secret has become too much and starts affecting her body, even making it hard for her to breathe. When she couldn't bear the burden anymore, she texted Karuko that she wanted to tell her something. Her only goal was to get rid of this constant pain, and she couldn't stop thinking that she was a terrible human. Karuko tries to call her friend, but Subaru is still deep in thought, realizing how she can't ever forgive herself about how her friends didn't blame her for anything. She is relieved at Wageri's reaction, but it also makes her realize how she is still the same as before. Even though she has grown taller, can hide her feelings better, and even copies her hero by keeping her long hair, she is still a coward who keeps relying heavily on Karuko. She suddenly breaks down in tears and starts apologizing to Karuko, saying how she always messes everything up. Wageri gently peers her hand away from her face and then cheerfully says that they should play in the park for a while to relive their childhood. Wageri is hanging on the monkey bar, laughing loudly, and admits that she is a little scared because she is doing this after a long time. When Subaru calls her name hesitantly, she asks her friend if she also wants to try, but Subaru refuses. Wageri again asks her if she is not doing well, to which Subaru replies that she is wearing a nice dress and her clothes will be ruined like this. Smiling at her concern, Wageri continues her adventure and reminds her how she said she wanted to reminisce about the past. She recalls how in their childhood, her clothes used to get dirty all the time, and she got scolded a lot by her mother. She then asks Subaru if she remembers when she fell from the monkey bars. After Subaru confirms that she can recall that, Wageri admits that she was in a lot of pain at the time. Subaru replies that the fall was bound to hurt her, and then wonders why she is telling this story again. She asks Subaru if she can also remember her words after she fell. When her friend denies recalling anything, Wageri tells her that she said that she would take all of her pain and make sure that she is alive. Embarrassed to hear that, Subaru tries to deny ever saying something like this, but Wageri insists that it is true and she must have recalled it by now. She playfully sings the lyrics of a song about pain and then explains how she was so stunned by Subaru's crying that she forgot about her own pain. Sitting on the wooden platform, Wageri says how Subaru has always been so kind to her. Despite her encouraging words, Subaru murmurs how she is not a good person and is just like a burden. In her eyes, Haruko is the kind one, but her friend is not happy with her behavior and tells her to stop degrading herself. Subaru looks at her in surprise as Wageri suddenly hugs her, saying how she has been acting like this for some time now, always using disrespectful words for herself. Subaru is still confused by her words as Wageri says how they have always been together, and Subaru says all those things during the monkey bar accident because of her kindness. At the time, she was wrong for trying something so risky, but Subaru just cried when she should have scolded her. Initially, she felt guilty for causing her friend to shed tears, but upon closer inspection, she discovered that Subaru's tears were shed out of concern for her well-being, and that brought a smile to her face. In that moment, Subaru's main worry was the state of her wardrobe, making her feel incredibly cherished. The real MVP here is Subaru, always by her side through the perils of Chidori High, ensuring her safety and sanity. Wageri hugs her friend again, telling her that she loves her and she should stop hating herself. Subaru just stands idly in her arms, thinking about how she always felt like a burden to her friend, but she still managed to help her in some ways. Pulling away, Wageri says that she has strong faith in the kind person Subaru is to her, and this is why she will always believe in her friend. She will wait for the day until Subaru feels good about herself, and until that happens, she will keep saying that she loves her. While saying those words, Wageri slides down happily while Subaru is thinking about her friend, which is always the same. Ever since they got to know each other, Wageri always said those words to her, and she finally knows what she has to do. Wageri laughs loudly after coming down the slide and asks Subaru if she wants to do it too, but instead of replying to her, Subaru just hugs her tightly. Confused, Wageri asks her what happened, to which Subaru tells her how she told Rintaro that Wageri is studying on scholarship. She didn't want Karuko to meet him again, but now she realizes that she should have consulted with her before. She asks her friend what she wants to do, and Wageri honestly replies that she wants to keep meeting Rintaro. When Subaru asks if she has feelings for that boy, Wageri admits that she loves him. Hearing her confession, Subaru tells her how when she told Rintaro to stop meeting her, he refused to do that. Wageri is happy to hear that while Subaru is thinking about how it will take some time before she can think good about herself. She always thought that she was a pathetic person, but Wageri was always there for her and even said she loved her. Wageri also assures her that she believes in her, and even though she can't tell what is going to happen in the future, the only thing she can do is have faith in Wageri. Through every problem in life, she will stick by her friend's side, and one day she will finally see the kind person that Wageri claims to love. She is hopeful that the day will come when she will walk beside her friend proudly. Once they are done talking, Subaru apologizes for keeping her out so long, but Wageri just playfully says that it is good because she got to see her emotional friend again. She giggles at Subaru's reaction, but before they can continue the conversation, her phone suddenly rings. Seeing her startled reaction, Subaru asks what happened, to which Wageri replies that she got a text message from Rintaro. In the meantime, Rintaro is sitting in his room, panicking after sending the message to Wageri. He is wondering what he should do now because he just impulsively sent the text message. After his meeting with Hoshina-san, he has spent a lot of time thinking about everything and feels like he needs another meeting with her, since he doesn't have her number, and it will make him look suspicious if he keeps waiting for her at the station. The only option he is left with is to ask Wageri. He is worried it will make him look bad because he randomly sent her a message after a long time, and he is sure Subaru wants to keep their meeting a secret from Wageri. He is still thinking about how he is going to talk to Wageri when his phone suddenly starts ringing. The ring has startled him, and his shock only increases when he realizes that Wageri is the one calling him. Instead of picking up the call, he just stares at his phone while babbling that he isn't ready for the call so suddenly. He tells himself that he needs to pick up the call, and with trembling hands, he hesitantly accepts the call. Wageri greets him first, asking if this is a good time to call and what he wants to discuss. Rintaro replies that first he wants to apologize for not texting her for so long, but Wageri responds that he doesn't need to say sorry because she also does the same thing. When she again asks what he wants to discuss, Rintaro hesitantly tells her that it is something about Hoshina-san. He is really nervous about bringing up the topic and says that he has something to discuss with Subaru. He adds that she must be curious about why he wants to talk to her friend, but to his surprise, Wageri suddenly starts chuckling from the other side of the phone. She tells him that Subaru is with her right now, and without giving him any time to prepare, she gives the phone to her friend. Rintaro is startled when suddenly Subaru starts talking from the other side, asking him why he called. Stuttering a little, Rintaro tells her that he wants to talk about their earlier meeting at the cafe in reply to which Subaru asks him if he is free after school tomorrow. The next day, Rintaro goes to the designated place and finds Hoshina already sitting there on a bench. She apologizes for making him come here, but Rintaro quickly reminds her that he approached her first. Even though she is here, he is still concerned about them being out at this time while still wearing their uniforms. She assures him that it is okay and thanks him for being so careful. The unexpected reply shocks Rintaro, and he notices how she is acting really differently today. When she inquires about their conversation topic, Rintaro stands before her and politely requests to continue meeting with Wageri. To his surprise, Subaru reveals that Wageri is not her daughter, leading Rintaro to hurriedly explain his mix-up. She admits to her lack of clarification, but Rintaro, being the understanding individual that he is, acknowledges Kikyo's hatred towards Chidori. He reasons that it might be beneficial for both schools to avoid any further encounters. Wageri's earlier words swirl in his mind, and he expresses that despite knowing all the risks, he still wants to keep meeting her. Since their meeting can cause trouble, he wants to ask Subaru if he can meet Wageri without screwing everything up. She just stares at him in surprise as he continues that it is strange to ask her this after she told him to not meet her friend. Subaru suddenly asks if he really needs her advice for this. When Rintaro looks at her with a confused expression, she explains that he just said those things to him because of her selfishness, and he should remember that he is already clear about what he wants. She is wondering after all the rude things she said to him. He is still not angry with her. Rintaro assures her that he is not mad at her because it is clear that she cares deeply for her friend. He indeed was a little disappointed to get scolded by her like this, but he still admires how much she cares for her friend. It made him realize that she was a nice person. This is why he wants to know how he can make her feel okay with their meeting, because Wageri-san also cares a lot about her. And he can't just simply ignore her. He once again repeats his request, even bowing politely in front of her, and Subaru can just think to herself that the person her friend is in love with is an amazing soul. She can't believe she wants to stop him from meeting her, and it just makes her look stupid. Oblivious to her thought, Rintaro is still adamant about finding a solution and asks, even if they can find a secret way to meet, how will they hide all this from Wageri-san? Subaru reveals that she has already told Wageri everything. Rintaro is baffled to hear that and asks to know full details about what she said, not satisfied with her answer that she shared everything. Subaru just replies that she thinks as long as they meet somewhere far away from school, it is fine for them to keep seeing each other. If he can make this happen, then she is also fine with them meeting with each other. Before Rintaro can reply to her, someone from the side shouts at him to be careful, and just then football slams into him, knocking him to the ground. Rintaro holds the ball in his hand as a child walks towards them and recognizes that he has met them earlier in the cafe. They also recognize the kid and tells him to be cautious next time. The kid thanks them for returning his football and then comments that they must be really close friends since they are meeting again here. They try to deny being friends, but the kid is not happy and argues that if they weren't friends, they wouldn't speak with each other and insists that they are good friends. He bolts when the other kids call out to her, as Subaru makes it clear they aren't friends. Out of the blue, she asks if they could ever be pals. Rintaro is taken aback and puzzled by the question. He asks if she's okay, knowing he goes to Chidori High. Curious to know what's up, he prods her, but she's tight-lipped, wanting to keep it under wraps. After finishing talking with Rintaro on the phone, Subaru returns the phone to her friend. Wageri is really curious to find out why he wants to talk to her, to which Subaru explains that he wants to discuss something, so they arrange a meeting for tomorrow. She is concerned about not being able to accompany her friend on the walk to the home tomorrow, but Wageri assures her that it is okay. Smiling widely, Wageri starts walking ahead of her while Subaru stares at her, recalling how ever since their childhood, she was the first person Wageri approached when she has some good and fun news. She always adored her friend running toward her with the biggest smile on her face, but now the same Wageri was hesitant to tell her about the boy she met. Subaru understands that it was because of her protective behavior, but she wants to change it now and asks Kuriko what she likes most about Rintaro. She is startled by the sudden question, but when Subaru innocently says that she just wants to know, Wageri starts telling her friends the things she likes most about Rintaro. Subaru hears her rambling about the boy, while thinking about her strong feelings for him. She wishes to stay by her friend for a long time so she can see her hero being happy in life. Focusing back on her friend, Subaru hears Wageri talking about how Rintaro has saved her from some bad guys and asks her to repeat the last part once more. When Rintaro returns home, his mother greets him with a smile, saying she's almost done preparing dinner. Surprised, he asks why she's cooking at this hour. She playfully asks if there's a problem with her cooking, to which he shrugs and says she can do whatever she wants. It's just unusual. He wonders if she doesn't have work to do for the store, but then she finally reveals the reason. She made dinner to celebrate him passing his exam. She admits that at first, she thought he was joking since it was hard to believe he scored 59. But when she cleaned his room and found the test along with a notebook full of notes, she realized he had truly put in the effort. That's why she decided to cook his favorite dishes. Rintaro still finds it odd. After all, he just studied. But his mother simply says she's happy for him. She further continues that his uniform will get dirty, so he should get changed and quickly come to dinner, or else the food will get cold. Soon after that, Rintaro is eating dinner with his mother, thinking about how good the food tastes, when his mother suddenly asks if he has solved his issue from yesterday. He starts choking on his food, but his mother just laughs, saying how he is very easy to read. Rintaro still can't believe his mother found out somehow and says how she is very scary. She just chuckles in reply, saying that it is her talent as a mother, and then adds how he looks more chill from calm from yesterday. She assures him that she will not ask more questions about what happened, but she is just happy that he solved the issue. She simply adds that Wageri is a really good girl and Rintaro comments on how she really doesn't like to get involved. Confused, his mother says that this is what she has been doing up until now. Rintaro explains how she never said anything when he came back with bad grades, which is why he was confused when she said she was happy for him. It makes him wonder if she said this because he finally did some hard work while studying or because he finally passed his test. His mother asks if she asked him to study, would he have followed her advice? When Rintaro says no to her question, she replies that he got his answer because the only thing she could do was hope that one day he will study on his own. Even though he studied well, this is not the reason for her to be so happy. She tells him how ever since he was a kid, he would always give up on everything, but this time he actually went through with it and worked hard, which brought the result. This is why she is so happy, and it has nothing to do with him passing a test. She didn't know why he had decided to study suddenly, but she was sure that something was motivating him. Rintaro hesitantly admits that it is true, and she continues how earlier, when he was so concerned about Wageri, it got so bad that she felt he was completely ignoring what was important in his life, so she just pushed him in the right direction. She then asks if he really went to apologize to Wageri because she noticed how they were behaving with each other. Rintaro is irritated by how his mother can so easily read him. His mother continues that she was surprised when he suddenly started to torture himself about it, but later she wasn't very concerned about it. When Rintaro asks why he is, his mother replies that she knows that he is someone who will go to apologize for his mistake. Suddenly standing up, she slams her hands on the table and says how Rintaro can do the things that are really necessary for him. As long as he can keep doing that, she is okay with him because the only thing she needs is for him to enjoy his life. Later that night, Rintaro is lying in his bed staring at his group chat with his friends that has been inactive for a while. He admits to himself that he is the reason why the group chat is dead for a while. He stares at the name of their group, thinking about Shoei coming up with a new name before the exams, and Saku seems to really hate it. Yurita had to step in to calm down Saku, and once everything was settled, Shoei again started teasing him about how he might fail like them in the future. At the time, he just sat in his seat, watching the chaos happening in front of him, and ignored Yurita's calls to help him calm down Saku. He always liked his friends being goofy, and whenever they hung out, he enjoyed his time. After what happened on the day they got their result, he couldn't even look at his friends, worried about what they might be thinking. He sits on his bed dejectedly, irritated about how things have ended up with his friend. The next day in school, Shoei confidently announces that something is wrong. When his friends look at him, asking what he means, he replies that Rintaro is acting really strange. They still don't understand what he is trying to say, so he tells them to look at their friend. On the pitch, Rintaro is standing idly, not paying any attention, and despite his friends shouting, he doesn't move and gets hit by the ball. Irritated, Shoei almost shouts how Rintaro is really bad at studying, but he can do sports well, but now he suddenly can't even play. Yurita comments how he shouldn't call Rintaro bad at studying, and Saku adds how Yurita has started to show his true colors. Ignoring their comments, Shoei continues how Rintaro was even acting strange during a class and has been very tense. In the class, when he couldn't see his friend like that anymore, he asked him what the matter was and if he wanted to go home. Rintaro got really nervous while answering him. This is why he is sure that something is really wrong today. Yurita finally agrees with him and excitedly throws himself on his friend, saying that he has an idea. They are both not happy when they find out that Shoei's great plan is to stalk Rintaro. Saku points out how everyone is looking at them, but Shoei insists that his plan is amazing and very enjoyable. He then says to Saku that the only thing he will tell Rintaro is to just forget about his issues. Saku hesitantly agrees with him, wanting to argue, but Shoei interrupts him, saying how he is very stubborn. He adds that Saku and Rintaro are both someone who believe in saying few words. While talking, their voice accidentally gets louder, grabbing the attention of Rintaro, but they quickly hide behind a wall so their friend can't see them when he turns around. Rintaro starts walking again, murmuring that he must be imagining things. The three of them again peek around the wall and are confused to see him walking to a different place. Shoei says that it looks like he is with someone, and they are astonished when they see him meeting with Karuko and Hoshina-san. Stuttering a little, Wageri asks Rintaro to choose something to order as they both sit in a cafe along with Subaru. Seeing them nervously talking to each other makes Subaru wonder if she should just leave, but just then Rintaro expresses that he wants to order an iced coffee and Wageri asks her about the order, pulling her out of her thoughts. Earlier that day, Rintaro had messaged Wageri that he wanted to meet her and Subaru too because he wanted to clear up things. The upcoming meeting has kept him on edge all day, and even his friends are concerned about him. Now that he is sitting in the cafe, he feels like Wageri is more anxious than he is. He is worried that something might be wrong because Wageri is always smiling when she is eating. Deciding to continue the conversation, he apologizes to the girl for asking them to meet him, but they quickly dismiss his apology. Wageri hesitantly admits that she is happy to meet him so often. Rintaro is surprised by the sudden confession, while Wageri struggles to say something else even though she really wants to reply to Rintaro's apology. Subaru is shocked to see her friend like that, while Rintaro's friends are hiding somewhere close, watching the scene unfold in front of them. Saku whispers at them to stay hidden, while Shoei is freaking out to find out how Rintaro has been flirting with a girl all this time. He is really angry at his friend, while Yurita is casually searching for something good to eat. Annoyed, he asks his friends why are they so calm, to which Yurita replies that he is also jealous of Rintaro. Saku is the only one aware of their position, and once again tells Shoei to keep his voice down or else they will get exposed. Yurita has finally found something good on the menu, and tells Shoei that it is his favorite. Shoei instantly gets excited at the mention of the food, and they both once again get scolded by Saku for not being careful. He reminds them that right now Rintaro is meeting with the girls from Keikyo, and it would have been okay if Wageri was the only one there. Listening about the girls, Shoei recalls how the other girl is Subaru, and he is curious about her presence because she seems to hate everyone from Chidori. Yurita murmurs that he wants to know what they are discussing, while Shoei has finally figured out that Rintaro was so on edge today because he had to meet the girls. Their conversation comes to a stop when they hear Subaru saying to Rintaro that he said he wanted to discuss something, and he is just wasting time by staying silent. Finally gathering some courage, he asks the girls if they remember the Chidori boys from the library. Wageri instantly says that she remembers his friends, and Rintaro replies that he wants to tell his friends about all this. When Subaru asks why he wants to do this, Rintaro replies that he doesn't want to keep this secret from his friends. He shares how at first no one wanted to be friends with him because of his looks, and no one has ever paid any attention to what he was saying. At one point he gave up trying to find friends because he thought it was useless, but when he joined Chidori High, those three had always supported him. For some time he thought that they were very strange, but he slowly realized that no one can ever take their place. They were the ones who made him feel for the first time that he also belongs somewhere. Rintaro shares how he really admires their friendship and how they care for each other. Their friendship makes him wish that he could also be this close to his friends. During his midterm exams, Wageri made him determined to not give up on something for the first time in his life, and he worked hard until the end. When the results came, he was happy that he didn't give up early, and it made him realize that he didn't want to give up on his friends too. He sincerely apologizes to the girls, because he knows that it will be a huge risk for them to be seen with the boys from Chidori. He knows that he is asking too much from them, and he is really sorry for that. He keeps saying sorry to them until Wageri interrupts him with a big smile and says that they will be happy to meet his friends. He is shocked to hear that while Wageri turns toward her friends, asking for her opinion. Subaru replies that she has no issues if Wageri is fine with it, and she can tell how kind Rintaro is because he even cares about her opinion on this matter. Rintaro just sits there in shock as Wageri says that they both have no issues with this and she completely trusts him. If he cares about his friends so much, then she also trusts them, which means they can all be friends. Sitting in the next cabin, Rintaro's friends are silent after listening to their sentimental conversation. Soon after that, Rintaro leaves the cafe with the girls and offers to walk them to the station because it is getting dark. Wageri replies that he doesn't need to walk them because he will be late if he does. Before he can argue, Subaru calls him and asks if they can meet with his friends soon because she wants to apologize for her behavior in the library. She is nervous that he might not agree with this, but Rintaro instantly agrees to talk with his friends about this. They continue walking, as Wageri says how she is glad that they are both getting along well. Before they can walk further away, they hear someone talking about how they finally found him, and it is hard to miss someone like him. Rintaro turns around to find a bunch of guys standing there, and even though they seem to know him, he has no idea who these people are. As the boys approach, one of them casually mentions a rumor they heard about him being in the vicinity. Grinning, he responds that it's a stroke of luck they crossed paths because he's been hearing some juicy gossip about his friends causing trouble and wishes to make amends. Rintaro's eyebrows raise in confusion at the abrupt shift in conversation, just as Wageri rudely tugs on his shirt. Turning around, he asks her what is wrong, and she points toward a tree, saying that some boys are hiding there. Rintaro recognizes how these guys are from the group who harassed Wageri the other day and realizes that they sent their leaders to take revenge. He is annoyed that they don't give up even after getting beaten up by him and tries to walk away, telling the other guys that they don't need to apologize. Before he can walk away, the guys come out of hiding and say that he doesn't have to run away from them. One dude claims his buddies accused him of beating them up, even though they never hung out with him. Rintaro is ticked off because he didn't do squat, yet they're gunning for him over some gossip. The big shot in charge pipes up, saying it's his first time running into Rintaro, but he looks like a troublemaker. Before Rintaro can clap back, Wageri jumps in to vouch for him, insisting he's not that kind of guy. Subaru and Rintaro are both taken aback by her defense, while the leader commends her for having his back. Another one of the goons interjects as he points out how the girls are wearing uniforms from Chidori High. The leader also recognizes how they are from that rich school and comments on their looks. He suddenly starts walking toward them, making them both gasp in surprise, and he only comments on how good they sound. His friends tell him not to scare the girls since they look so pitiful. Following his friend's advice, he asks the girls to not be scared of him, but just then Rintaro steps in front of the girls, hiding them both behind his giant build. Rintaro insists that their issue is only with him and he's willing to chat, but only after the girls make themselves scarce. He coolly mentions that once the girls are out of the picture, he'll be all ears for whatever they have to say. The girls are understandably freaked out, especially when the boss threatens that things won't be fun without them around. Sneakily, one of them creeps up behind the girls while the boss hints that they'll have a little girl talk after their powwow. Just as a boy reaches out to touch Subaru's silver locks and inquire about their naturalness, Shoei swoops in from out of nowhere to play hair police, shooing the boy away from the girls. He twists the boy's wrist, ignoring his pain screams, and cheerfully greets his friend. Confused, Rintaro asks why he's here, but before he gets an answer, the other two step out of hiding. Forming a protective wall, they tell Rintaro to take the girls somewhere safe. He hesitates, but they insist they've got this. Reluctantly, he apologizes, thanks them, and leaves with the girls, shouting that he'll explain everything later. His friends just smile in response. One of the goons complains about their interference, but Saku bluntly tells him to move. Enraged, the goon turns toward him, but Saku ignores him and approaches the two boys sitting nearby. He casually says Rintaro told him about them. They must be the ones who wanted to meet him. Before they can respond, he continues, recalling how they ran off in fear that day, only to return now with backup for revenge. The two of them are still hiding like cowards. The guys are offended by Saku calling him names and dare him to repeat what he said, even calling him a little brat. He chuckles at their answer and apologizes for being rude since he thought they were younger than him because of the way they were acting like children. He tells them to reflect on their actions first because right now they are like some pathetic kids. One of the goons starts to shout at him to keep his mouth closed, but his friends silence him with a punch. Staring at Saku with a menacing smile, he asks him if Rintaro's injury has been healed. They are shocked to hear this, and the leader of the goons instantly figures out that they didn't know that. He points to his head, saying how Rintaro got hurt right here, and mockingly says how their friends really thought he could act like a hero by protecting the girl from them. Once they were done with Rintaro, he was bleeding heavily, which he thinks is very pathetic. Rintaro's friends finally realize what he was hiding from them, but now that they know the truth, it only infuriates them that these two boys had hurt their friend. Yorita's mood suddenly seems to worsen, and the others soon realize what is about to happen. The goons still continue to provoke them, saying how they need to end this quickly because they still want to find those girls. Noticing his friend's expression, Shoei tells them to stop talking, but they just ignore him. In the meantime, Rintaro bows deeply in front of the girls, apologizing to both of them. They are confused at his action, so he explains that he is the reason they got caught up in this mess. Wageri quickly says that it is not his fault and asks about his friend, suggesting that they should go back to check on him. Rintaro replies that his friends will be fine and he is more worried about the other team. Just then, his phone starts ringing as he gets a call from Yorita. When he receives the call, his friend asks if he and the girls are okay. Rintaro assures him that they are fine and asks about his friends. He is slightly confused when Yorita cheerfully replies that all of them are doing great. Rintaro tells his friend that he will come over to them, but instead of replying to him, Yorita starts whispering to Saku. Suddenly, Yorita tells to him that he doesn't need to go there because they are already going home, and they all need to rest for the sports day tomorrow. A little confused, Rintaro hangs up the call, murmuring that everything must have turned out well. On the other side, Yurita thanks Saku for helping him say the right words on time. Saka replies that they are just following what he said, and it is good because they all need to match their stories. Shoei speaks up for the first time as he says to his friend how badly he has beaten them up while looking at Yurita standing casually beside the pile of bodies. With a wide grin, Yurita says it's time to go home. Shoei remarks on his knack for causing trouble, and Saku adds that he thought Yurita hated fights. He shrugs, replying that while he doesn't like fighting, he won't hold back if someone hurts his friend. One of the goons slowly lifts his head, cursing under his breath. Yurita calmly crouches in front of him and says he understands the pain, but he should remember. Rintaro is far from pathetic. In fact, he's the coolest person around, and that's all they needed to know. If they ever forget this lesson, well, they already know what will happen. The goon glares in silence as Yurita walks away with his friends, who quickly start bickering about phones. Shoei suddenly asks if they're looking forward to tomorrow. Saku grumbles at his endless energy, but Shoei just grins, saying he's excited. He then suggests making up with Rintaro before tomorrow, and Saku agrees, earning himself some playful teasing in return. On the sports day, Rintaro is batting for his team, and his friends keep shouting at him to concentrate because today is not the time to slack off. He tells his friends to stop talking while thinking about how he really can't focus. He still couldn't talk to his friends about what happened yesterday, even though he came early to school, but he just got caught up in early morning practice. He comes out of his thoughts when a boy shouts that they are bringing another player and he will be benched for the second game. Rintaro just accepts the instructions and goes to wash his face while thinking about what he is doing. They all manage to clear their exam and even get to participate in the sports day, but he is not enjoying it at all. Suddenly, he hears someone calling him and turns around to find a bottle flying toward him. He quickly catches the bottle and looks to the side to find all of his friends standing there. Yurita teases him for messing up things on the pitch, and Shoei adds that it was because of his amazing pitching skills that they were still in the game. He adds that they will get to visit the ice cream city after the second game. Rintaro finally finds his words as he thanks his friends for helping him out yesterday. Yurita and Shoei quickly say that he doesn't need to mention that, and then ask if everything was fine for them yesterday. Rintaro replies that they were fine, to which Shoei replies that they are happy the three of them managed to escape from there safely. He accidentally reveals that stalking him was a good idea after all. All three of them are stunned by his statement, and Rintaro asks if they came to his rescue on time because they were stalking him. When Rintaro asks if they also followed him at the diner, Shoei gets really nervous and quickly says that he and Yurita need to do something urgent. Grabbing Yurita's hand, he runs away from there, telling Saku to also apologize to him. Once they are left alone, Saku finally gathers the courage to apologize to Rintaro. He admits that they have stalked Rintaro and even heard his conversation. But he is disappointed at how they didn't notice what he was facing. He regrets being so rude toward his friends and again says sorry. Rintaro quickly replies that he is the one who needs to apologize, but Saku insists that he did nothing wrong. They start arguing about who should be the one apologizing, with each one of them insisting that they are more guilty. Rintaro says that he is the one who is sorry and can't understand why Saku is trying to apologize. Irritated, Saku shouts why he needs to do that, but then he stops himself, murmuring that it is not good if he is getting angry like this and blaming others. He recalls that Shoei told him to share his true feelings with Rintaro, and he just now realized that he needs to tell his friend that he trusts him. Finally gathering the courage to speak, he tells Rintaro to pay full attention to what he is about to say because he will never repeat those words again, even when he is on the verge of death. Rintaro is confused by his statement, but he agrees to listen to everything. Saku tells him how he was very delighted to hear Rintaro's words, and even though he is not someone who likes to share his feelings, he wants Rintaro to know that everything he is going to say is true. He continues that he, Shoei, and Yurita trust Rintaro with all their hearts. Hearing his friend's words reminds Rintaro of how he wishes that he had the same bond with his friends as Wageri has with Subaru. When Saka mentions that they are all here for him whenever he needs them, he slumps down on the ground. Yurita and Shoei are worried about what is happening with their friends, and Shoei is curious if Saku is really going to open up to Rintaro. Yurita replies that it is his fault because he left two of them alone, and now even the second game is about to start. They both peek at their friends and are relieved to see them happily chatting with each other. After solving, they all focus on the game, as it is the final game and they need to balance the score. Everyone is surprised to see Rintaro at the strike, because they were expecting someone else. Holding the bat in his hand, he recalls how Shoei said that he only managed to pass the test because of him. He also remembers Wageri's words about telling him to enjoy his time at the sports day and then share all the stories with her. The students are worried that Rintaro will mess up the game because earlier he couldn't even hit a ball, but Saku is sure that he will do great. The three of them stare at their friend with confidence and tell others that they need to know that when it is a critical situation, Rintaro will always do his best. Everyone becomes silent as the ball is finally thrown and Rintaro hits it out of the ground. The crowd erupts in cheer at the great hit, and Shoei is the first to reach Rintaro. Hugging his friend tightly, he praises Rintaro for such an amazing shot. Yurita is also very excited as he says how, thanks to Rintaro, they have qualified for the finals. Saku adds that he has made up for playing so badly in the first game, and others also hug Rintaro, declaring him their hero. When Rintaro gets a chance to speak, he confidently states that they will win the championship and suggests that they should all go to eat ice cream. Their professor is standing at the side, looking at his students celebrating, and when the cameraman approaches him, he asks the boy if he got a good picture, and in reply, the boy shows him the photo he clicked. The professor stares at the picture of Rintaro laughing with his friends, and wishfully murmurs about how great it is to be young. After the game ends, Rintaro goes out to eat ice cream with his friends. Three of them are trying to comfort crying Shoei, who feels really guilty that they can't get ice cream because of his mistake. They say that it is fine since they are eating ice cream now, but he argues that it is not good if they are not the teacher's dime, and he regrets not hitting some good pictures. His friends say that they still ended well with a great home run, and even the lady working at the cafe tries to cheer him up by giving him some extra takoyaki. Shoei says that he doesn't need pity and suddenly stops crying as he determinedly announces that he is going to do a lot of practice for next year. Yurita is surprised at how quickly he has recovered from his break, and Saku comments that he doesn't know if they will play baseball next year. Shoei asks them to show some enthusiasm while Rintaro listens to their banter silently. Suddenly his phone dings, indicating that he got a new message. After looking at his phone, he asks his friends if they are free after school. Later that day, he takes his friends to meet with Wageri and Subaru. They all finally get to know each other formally, while the boys are silently thinking if this is some kind of blind dating. Wageri apologizes for calling them here so suddenly, but Yurita quickly says that it is fine. Shoei replies that they got out early because of the school and had nothing better to do anyway. Rintaro is surprised to see how quickly Shoei and Wageri are becoming friends with each other. At the side, Yurita secretly asks Saku why they came so out of the way, to which his friends replied that it is probably because no one will see them. Wageri grabs everyone's attention by saying that the main reason she called them here is because they wanted to thank them for rescuing them yesterday. Subaru also hesitantly murmurs a thank you, but the boys just stare at them until Yurita gathers enough courage to say that it is not a big deal. Shoei adds that they are just happy that nothing bad happened to them. Wageri offers them a bag, saying that they also want them to accept this gift. The three of them quickly look inside the bag and are surprised to see it filled with snacks. Shoei again starts to get emotional at how kind the girls are, and then they eagerly move to taste all the snacks. Just then, Subaru stands up from her seat and sincerely says sorry to them. The boys are confused at the sudden apology, while Subaru keeps bowing as she explains that she didn't even know them earlier in the library and behaved so rude just because they are from Chidori. She admits that it was very mean to say those things, so she is really sorry for her behavior. Everyone's shocked eyes suddenly turn to Shoei when he says that he can't even recall what happened. Seeing that everyone is staring at him, he clarifies that it happened almost a month ago, and it is a surprise that they remember such an old thing. Yurita says that it was kind of a big fight, but he dismisses his friend quickly, saying that he doesn't care about that because this type of thing happens regularly on Reg. Everyone once again is left shocked when, out of nowhere, Saku apologizes to the girls. He scolds his friends for teasing him and then turns back, saying that he also said some mean things, so he wants to apologize for that. Subaru replies that he doesn't need to say sorry, but she is interrupted by Shohei crying about how Saku is finally acting like a grown-up. While his friends argue among themselves, Rintaro shares a soft glance with Wageri, who then turns toward her friends, telling her to share what she brought for them. Subaru quickly gives them the bag of snacks she brought for them. The boys are stunned to see the expensive things she bought for them, and start discussing how it is very difficult to get hands on such things. They are surprised that Rintaro has such kind of information, and he replies that it is because his mom likes it. They finally raise their heads and thank the girls for giving them snacks. Without wasting any more time, they open the bag of snacks. She tries to refuse because she is from Keikyo, but Shoei assures her that they don't need to know about such things. He continues that they know people from Keikyo don't like them, so they just stay away from them, and it is not like they are holding some grudge against them. Shoei shyly admits that he just gets angry sometimes. Yurita comes to rescue him from embarrassment and says to the girl that Rintaro talked about them a lot. He even said that they are very nice people, and he is friends with them. Rintaro is annoyed at his friend exposing him like this, but Saku cuts him off, saying that if Rintaro said that, then they believe him. Shoei tells everyone to stop sharing stories and instead offers a snack to Subaru, asking if they can be friends from now on. She gazes at the pack of carefree boys chuckling away, suddenly struck by how genuinely pleasant they are. It dawns on her how silly her negative feelings towards Chidori were, and she remembers her vow to embrace the kind soul that Wageri sees in her. It turns out her pal was onto something by reminding her to not overlook the goodness in plain sight. After eating snacks, they all walk back as Yurita comments how he can't believe that he is hanging out with someone from Keikyo. Shoei suddenly calls Hoshina-san toward him and then asks her where she got the snacks from. When she asks why he wants to know, he replies that it is because he wants Saku to buy it for them on their next sports day, but he instantly refuses to entertain him. Wageri and Rintaro stare at their friends joking around, and Wageri expresses her happiness that his friends know about them. She is also relieved to see that Subaru is getting along well with them. Rintaro suddenly mentions that he wants to thank her for helping him pass the test and asks if there is something she wants them to do because he couldn't think of anything suitable. He tells her to choose anything she wants, and Wageri replies that she wants them to go somewhere together. Rintaro is quick to nod in agreement as Wageri racks her brain for the perfect hangout spot, but she's left awestruck by his minimalist responses, answering her every idea with just a single word.
Here I am, know it's been a while.